It's just sinking in now that I managed to do this again. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody! Hello, welcome to the Wild Review. I'm the Wild Reviewer, and welcome to day 25 of 25 Wild Christmas Review Days, the cartoon specials, also known as the last day. We've made it. We've survived another 25 days. Let's do another batch! Honestly, with my mindset, I wouldn't be surprised if I did. Who knows, maybe in the next 2 years you'll see me do this again. It seems to be a tradition. Every 2 years, let's do a different series. Yeah, but maybe we'll get there when we get there. I don't have any intentions of doing that right now, but my mind's always changing. I think this is the best example. I'm not even going to try to lie anymore. It's Christmas Day, and like I said yesterday, I've got one last cartoon I would like to talk about that isn't significant to the holidays, I'm going to be honest. It's just an ordinary, average television series, but it's a streaming show. Now, unless you play it on TV personally, then it would be a TV show, but I'm assuming most people watch it on their laptop because it's streaming. And we're starting to live in a really interesting world where the definition of being a TV show could just mean anything. I mean, what's stopping anybody from thinking that a YouTube video could be a TV show? Truthfully, like, think about it. You have all these different shows on Netflix and Disney Plus and Hulu and Amazon and Max, and there's too many streaming sites. I want to get off. So it's not too holiday significant, but I want to talk about it just because it's one of the cartoons I wanted to talk about. So let's talk about Solar Opposites. Solar Opposites is an animated series that started streaming directly on Hulu in 2020. The show follows 4 aliens as they crash land on Earth and make it their new home after their home planet Schlorp is destroyed by an asteroid. The aliens adapt to human life, force each other to become a family, and await for their pet pupa to grow to the right size where it will terraform Earth and make it a new Schlorp. In an interesting subplot, the kids in the family have been kidnapping people, shrinking them down, and trapping them within their bedroom wall, where they form their own society. There's also this other side plot, which I completely forgot to mention. It's probably because I'm not interested in it, but it's some guy, one of their neighbors, he got shot up into space and joined a team of space cops. Something's going on with that. In 2021, a very solar holiday opposites special premiered and saw the aliens getting into the Christmas spirit by putting themselves in the movie Jingle All the Way. Realizing the movie sucks, they abandon the movie but start to feel no Christmas spirit at all. The only way to revert this is to continue on with Jingle All the Way. Meanwhile, the pupa tries to fix a broken family with the hopes he gets something in return. Hard to believe that 25 days straight I kept this hat on, despite it not fitting my head. I mean, do I look stupid? I guess now's a bad time to ask if I look stupid in this hat. You really can't even see the red. It just kind of looks like I have this white thing on my head. I like Solar Opposites. I think it's a very good show. At the moment, they've just released season 5, to which I haven't seen. I get very entertained by the show. I think it's very funny. It's another show that was created by Justin Roiland, and he did have an influence on the show. He no longer works on the show because of the accusations that came up. He also voices one of the main aliens, and because of this change, he no longer voices that alien. They instead have a completely different person voicing him. This person has a British accent. They're not even trying to sound like what his original character was. What's his name? Clorpo? And they're just fine with it. Yeah, they pulled an Eddsworld. Eddsworld did this first. They zapped his voice, making him sound completely different, and now he just sounds like this. And they did it very clever by making him say, yeah, well, I'm also going to be sounding like this in flashbacks also. I think it's a very interesting show. It's nothing like Rick and Morty, although it's got a very similar feel to Rick and Morty, mainly because of the animation style. The end credits also feel very Rick and Morty-like, so it's kind of like the relationship with Phineas and Ferb and Milo Murphy's Law. Because it's the same crew working on both shows, it's going to look very similar, which sometimes it works, it's that person's style, but at the same time, you do wish that maybe something was a little different in terms of the style or format of the show. Obviously, the one thing they have going for them is the plot is very different. I don't even think they try to connect it being in the same world as Rick and Morty, which isn't a bother. I mean, like, if they did a Rick and Morty crossover, honestly, I don't think I'd be bothered by it. It's actually something I'm expecting to happen at some point, especially with Rick and Morty being a show about interdimensional travel. But as a show on its own, it's very humorous, very funny. I enjoy watching it. I think the characters are absolutely insane, and that wall plot, I mean, that's insane on its own. That is crazy, man. One episode that I really like from the show is the episode where they're just waiting in line. They end up waiting in line at the end of one episode and it continues on in the next. I think that was pretty clever. So I enjoy Solar Opposites. I think it's very enjoyable. Again, I haven't seen season 5 at this point, but I plan on seeing it at some point, maybe in the next month or so. I'll get to it. As for their Christmas special, I thought it was entertaining. Again, there's really nothing super significant that makes me go, wow, I really love this special. I mean, it's your traditional holiday episode that you would expect a show like this to have. It was very enjoyable, it did the job, and I liked it. The machine that they used to go into Jingle All the Way, it's got the title of Ready Player One. And I haven't seen Ready Player One. I mean, if anything, it probably is just a big reference to the movie entirely. But I'm just going with it. I'm believing that this is something that happens in Ready Player One, and they're able to insert themselves into the movie. They're all Arnold Schwarzenegger's character. Funny how it mainly just takes place in Jingle All the Way, which I guess, to be fair, is one of the lower tier Christmas specials for a lot of people. Personally, not me. I like the movie. I've talked about the movie a few times. I talked about it in the original run of this series. It is one of my favorite films. It's still one of my favorite films. It's not a great film. I'm not going to say that it is one of the best Christmas films of all time, because it's not. It's got its problems. It's got some very dull acting, and some things just don't make sense, just like very few things don't. But it still is a very enjoyable movie. But I like how they're taking the fact that this movie is critically panned by a lot of people. Some people don't like it, and they have strong opinions about it. I like how they've essentially taken that, established it in the episode, and then we're just like, alright, we're just gonna have to push through and go forward with this crappy film. And then they did the whole, what if scenario. Like, well, what if this didn't happen? And now the film is completely different because they left. It can get a little complex. There are a lot of questions that I had watching, like, what happens if the aliens leave? Does Arnold Schwarzenegger come back? Is the character Harold played by him, or is there just no Harold? No, they replaced the character, and when they left, so did the character. Now we're in this alternate world where Jamie is a mastermind, overthrows the town, and now he's become the bad guy. And now this makes you wonder, is this just how the movie is now in this world? When they play this film, is that how this is going to be? I think what I especially like is that they really emphasize the title of the films that they were going to be referencing and even showing. Like, it's very clear that they got permission to use all these titles. Typically in a TV show, you don't get the rights for that stuff and you just kind of make a little parody title, which does happen. Yeah, with the exception of a few things. Like, they referenced Love Actually, a film that I've never seen. Personally, I'm not interested in seeing it. I'm not a rom-com person. But I think they quickly show the title of it, and it just says, like, Love Intensely, Love Interested. It says something. It doesn't say Love Actually. It's a Wonderful Life is also referenced, but they misspell wonderful. They do mention Elf. They hint at A Christmas Story. They don't mention it by name. Maybe they got permission to say some films and other films they couldn't. That's very possible. Surprisingly, no Disney films. I think Hulu was owned by Disney at the time, so I expected there to be some reference to the Santa Claus or maybe other Disney Christmas films, but no, it wasn't any of that. They didn't even directly mention the Grinch, but we get a Grinch reference. There with the hearts, they show the hearts growing. But yeah, it's Jingle All the Way, starring the Solar Opposite aliens. That's essentially the episode, and I thought it was very good. I thought it was very funny. Very interesting also. Honestly, if I had to say anything though, I do wish that we got to see them go into each individual film, which I think was the plan originally, and they just stuck with Jingle All the Way. And we got a little of that when they went into Rudolph and It's a Wonderful Life. And yeah, I thought it'd be really interesting to see them make their way into these different films, kind of see their interpretations and interactions with different characters. There's always that can happen later on with a different show, but I'll take what I can get. And then with the Pupa storyline, trying to get the son, who came out as bisexual, to essentially come back together with his dad, who outcasted him. Yeah, that was a story. I mean, that was a typical let's get these two back together story. There's really nothing I could add with it. I do find it funny that it was all just to get his little pinwheel whistle, whatever the thing was. I love how it was just a big way for him to have somebody help him get the thing that he wanted out from the cupboards that he couldn't reach. Or even couldn't get. I think it was baby locked. I think that was very funny. I liked that as well. And that is it. Ugh, I'm yawning because I've done this for so long. I haven't left here in months. Days. That's it. That's 25 shows. Those are definitely more than 25 Christmas specials. There had to at least be close to 50. I'm gonna have to count how many there were in total. I watched a lot. That's the series. That's the mini show. That's it. I'm done. We've talked about some Christmas stuff, and we've celebrated Christmas together, and I hope you've enjoyed the ride. Truthfully, these have always been really interesting to do, and I do have fun doing them. I love talking about this stuff. You know, when thinking about doing a cartoon special miniseries, I did get very excited for it, and I'm glad I did it. I could say I've done it now, and I never have to do it again, at least the cartoon one. Who knows if this series will ever happen again. I'm gonna try not to convince myself to do a Halloween one. That's a lot more cartoons. I've already talked about one, though. I've talked about The Simpsons. Now, before we wrap things up like a Christmas present, I thought about it and would like to spend the next minute or so just bringing up and quickly talking about some honorable mentions. I did have a few shows, like I may have hinted, that I would have loved to inserted in this series. Didn't get to do that because I wanted to talk about everything else that I talked about, but there were obviously so many other shows that I know for a fact I could have mentioned. I could have definitely talked about them. So what I want to do now is I want to bring up these honorable mentions. These are shows that were either thought up originally but replaced with other shows because I wanted to talk about those specials, or just shows that I know for a fact I've seen the Christmas special of, but didn't include because I just didn't include it. Here we go. First up, we have Big City Green. They have two Christmas specials. I know last year is when they had their digital 3D generated Christmas special going into VR. Big City Green as a whole, that's a very cute show. I didn't talk about it because, truthfully, it was because of Solar Opposites. I just wanted to talk about that show. I wanted to talk about that Christmas special because I did like it, which meant something had to go. And because I hadn't seen enough of Big City Green, even though I know there are other shows I haven't seen enough of, I just didn't include it. You know, get mad at me all if you want, but I like the specials. I like the Christmas specials. I like the show. I think it's a very cute Disney show. It's actually a very good Disney show if you haven't seen it. Amphibia, another Disney show. I didn't include this one for a different reason though. The Christmas special, I believe it's in season 3. I think that's where they're in the human world. Little spoiler, sorry. I used to watch that one a lot, a little more than Big City Green. Don't watch it as much anymore, but I'm gonna have to jump back into it. I know the series is over, but maybe I need to give myself a little refresher on it. But the Christmas special, from what I remember, it was very good. I'd have to see it again to give a full-on big thought about it. I don't think this is an episode of the show, but it is the Christmas special. The House of Mouse, Snowed In at the House of Mouse, that's a very good one. That's a little movie length special. It may only be an hour. It's your typical House of Mouse episode. Everybody just gets snowed in and they play Christmas cartoons. I remember I've seen that a few times when I was little. I did enjoy that one. I brought up Dexter's Lab a few times. I'm not the biggest Dexter's Lab fan as much anymore, but that Christmas special with Dexter against Santa, even though it is short and it's paired up with other non-Christmas specials, I think that was alright. Not one of my favorites, but I thought it was cool. We Bare Bears, that's another Cartoon Network show that I should have talked about because that's a great show as well, but I didn't. They have a few Christmas specials. There's one with going to Christmas parties. That one is a classic for me, I think because it was the first Christmas special. The one where the bears are little at the DVD store, there's a lot of movie references in that one. That was cute. And then there's the Perfect Christmas Tree episode. That one was cute as well. We Bare Bears, it's a cute show. Clarence, which is personally a very underrated Cartoon Network show. I don't think a lot of people have so much hype over it, but I think it's a very good show. Their Christmas special, it never directly states that it's a Christmas special, but you know it's a Christmas special. I thought it was cute for what it was. Nothing too special. It's also only 10 minutes long, but I thought it was cool. I'm one of the few people on the planet Earth that actually thinks Uncle Grandpa is a very funny and creative show. And the one Christmas special, like their main one, I don't know if they have any other ones, but I like their main Christmas special with Uncle Grandpa facing off against Santa, or like working with Santa. They're brothers. And then the second half is essentially It's a Wonderful Life parody. That special has always stuck with me. I think it's fine. I don't talk about any preschool related stuff. I think the only preschool thing I've ever talked about is Blue's Clues. But I should bring up, because this was a huge part of my childhood growing up, the Nick Jr. Christmas specials are also very good. I remember I rented a Nick Jr. Christmas DVD. It consisted of the Dora special and the Blue's Clues episode and the Little Bill one. I have not seen those in years, but I do remember they were very festive and very heartwarming, and they were just very enjoyable to watch. So those were fine as well. The same thing goes with a lot of the Playhouse Disney Christmas specials I watched. Again, I'm not going into super detail about preschool shows, but I'm just mentioning them because, you know, they're honorable mentions, but they're fine as well. Yeah, the kids. It's kids stuff. Along with that, I owned a Nicktoons DVD. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but I used to own a Nicktoons Christmas DVD. It only had 4 cartoons on it. One of them was Rocket Power, a series that I've never talked about, and I don't know super much on. I remember I used to watch just a little of it, but the Christmas special was included on that DVD. I thought that was okay. It's not one of my favorites, but it was a fine Christmas special. King of the Hill is an adult show that I considered adding onto this list. There are a few Christmas specials that I do like. What I will say for King of the Hill is I'm very interested to know where this photo came from. I don't remember this being in an episode. I don't know if this was just a promotional thing or if it's an episode I've never seen, but I find this photo to be very funny, and I'd like to know the origins of it. Along with a lot of Renaissance stuff on Cartoon Network, they aired the Looney Tunes show. That was a very funny show as well. Not as similar to the Looney Tune cartoons, but it did a very good job putting the Looney Tunes in a very sitcom feeling show. They have one Christmas special, which I actually think is the only Looney Tunes Christmas special, aside from Bah Hum Duck, which is a movie, which I was going to originally include on this list. Bah Hum Duck was going to be what I was going to talk about today, but again, I decided to talk about Solar Opposites. I thought throwing in a movie would have been going against the rules, but I like Bah Hum Duck. Maybe one day I'll talk about it in full, but Bah Hum Duck I think is a very good adaptation of A Christmas Carol, especially when you throw in the Looney Tunes. The Looney Tunes show Christmas special itself, oddly enough, also called A Christmas Carol, but has nothing to do with the Christmas Carol. I thought that was very enjoyable as well. And finally, the last honorable mention that I do feel really bad I didn't include on this list, I feel like I should have. Smiling Friends is fantastic. That is a relatively new cartoon airing on Adult Swim. I think, as I said yesterday, the Rick and Morty craze, that is slowly fading out, and it's all about Smiling Friends now. I would hate for Smiling Friends to fall into the same pit Rick and Morty is, as it's starting to feel a little run down, but Smiling Friends is great. They have 2 Christmas specials. There's only 2 seasons of the show, and they each end with a Christmas special. Both of them are fantastic. I can't even compare one to another one. They're just both very creative, very funny. It's a very great show. I highly recommend Smiling Friends if you have not seen it. And that, my friends, is it. That is all I have for this season, this series, this holiday festive time. By the time this episode goes out, Christmas will be over. That's it. We gotta wait a whole nother year. That's right, cry about it. Thank you for spending the holidays with me if you've watched since the very beginning, or if you just watched this one episode, thank you very much for checking it out. I want to know, which one is your favorite Christmas special? Out of all the cartoons I talked about, which one is your favorite? Either for nostalgic reasons or just because it is legitimately your favorite. I would love to hear your thoughts in those comments below. And also, did I miss any cartoon? Is one of the honorable mentions I mentioned worthy of having its own discussion? I'd love to know your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. And with that, I bid everybody adieu, a Merry Christmas. I'm going to go and do something else now. I'll see you real soon, and I mean that. Thanks for watching The Wild Review. I'm The Wild Reviewer, and you just saw me review a thing.